in 1991, and it's always been a road cycling group because that's kind of all there was. And now that gravel is kind of started up, there's a lot of people who do the gravel rides, and it's basically the same as road, it's just on a gravel road.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, okay, well, I had to get a new bike, and so I'll get a bike that's considered a gravel bike.
And you can ride road. I mean, the only difference is the tires, you know.
So I got some, these are new tires, they're just road tires, but
that's the thing.
I had some 35, they go 35, which is kind of a, kind of pushing it for a gravel tire. It's kind of skinny, but I just got some tires they recommended that were good for road and gravel, and because that's where all the long group rides are, is gravel. Like the road people, they don't like doing long rides.
Oh, really?
Not really. Like we don't really have any Saturday rides where we do 40 or 50 miles. But the gravel club this year, we went like from Brainerd to Crosby to the new donut shop up there, or Ironton, whatever. So it was 20 miles up and 20 miles back, and it was like light gravel. There was some ATV trail that was like all grassy and had like sticks all over it. It was kind of not the favoriteest, but
well, this bike's about 9 years old now, but it's a CX bike, cross caliper.
Yeah.
It's kind of pre-gravel.
Yeah. And
Gravel.
yeah, and then I found out the Stomani that I have it's kind of one of the first gravel bikes they designed. I guess it started with the Tour de France. Guy had a big crash or problem with the cobblestone roads, and so that's where they kind of developed a wider tire to go on the cobblestone road. And then somebody must have said, hey, this would be fun on gravel too, so then they made them bigger, and I think most people would be happy with like a 40 or 45 wide tire for gravel. Anything like, well, there's gravel and then there's like sand and rocks,
right?
and so but I didn't know what gravel bikes were, so I just got the Trek, because that was, well, I ordered at the end of 2020, and that was when you could hardly find a bike. So
how long did it take you to get it?
Until April.
When did you order it?
In like September of 2020. But the thing was, the bike store already had one ordered. They already did a big order in like July, so it took like, I guess, almost a year to get them. And then since I was getting a new bike, I said my wife should get a new bike too, so we got the same bike. She got a 54 and I got a 56, and so we have matching bikes, and it worked out actually pretty well because we started paying for it in September, and then we just kind of, they wanted half up front, and then we just kind of paid them kind of $100 or $200 at a time until we get, like we get our tax money back in March, so we use that for it too. So that worked out well. So that's why I tell people now, if somebody says they don't have a bike and they're thinking about getting a bike next year, like if they say, like, there's this one lady at work who says she's thinking about getting a bike for next year. I said, oh, well, you should go and find one you like this year, and then just have the whole winter to pay for it, depending on what I don't know what her budget is, but
yeah, they don't give bikes away anymore.
I think even like you know, like an entry-level bike, something one step above a Walmart bike anyway. You know, it's probably close to $1,000 or more.
You need your base carbon or 30.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if somebody's just gonna ride like 10 miles a week, you don't need a carbon unless you want it. But so like, yeah, just find one you like, get the size you want, and then just, you know, slowly pay it off through the winter. So. My daughter a bike last year. We got her the Domani L2 model, and it was the same price as the 3 that we paid the year before. So they went up like $100. But, like, well, we can't get her the same one now because I'm not buying her a bike that costs more than mine. So. We must have ordered hers sometime in the fall and got hers last year in like January or February. So
that's not too bad.
yeah, and I wasn't too concerned about somebody else buying it because like there's not very many people who ride a 52. Like you gotta be really short. Well, my friend Mitchell, he's really short, but he rides a 51. I go, hey, my daughter's bike is the same size as yours. I guess he's my friend because he goes to our church, but I never really ride with him very much. He's more of a runner and just kind of bikes, just kind of for fun to say, oh, hey, look at me. I can run a ultra marathon, then just hop on a bike for a half hour and do like whatever. So there's this segment on Strava that it's only like a half a mile on this bike trail. It's all flat, and he got a faster time than I did on it. And he mentioned it to me a couple weeks ago. So I went out Thursday night. And just, yeah, I did it like 3 times in a row just to see if I could get, and it's like the top, I got second. The #1 guy, he did it in 2019 and his average speed was 28.2 miles per hour and it's flat.
And also,
even just a half a mile, it's like,
out of Fargo there, it's all about the wind.
Yeah. So if you wait until you get a west wind, then I can really crush it.
Right.
But, and it's like, it's, you can't get a fast start on it because you turn off of a road, like onto the trail. So, like I looked at my speed right after I turned, I was only going 18 miles per hour. So I'm like, oh shoot. I speed up and I think I hit 30, but I'm not like a super fast rider. Like, well, you've seen us the last few miles, we've been going kind of this speed. This is kind of pushing it for me. But yeah. So
85 miles.
yeah. So then I shared it on Facebook that I got, you know, I didn't say anything about him. I just said 1 second faster because I did it in the segment of 57 seconds and the top guy did it in 58 seconds. So I'm like almost there. But then one of our other friends from church said, oh, Mitchell, you got some work to do. And he said something about, when I beat him, I'll be sure to advertise it on Facebook. Like he was, like it bothered him somehow that he shared it. But And then I just wrote back, if ... But then I was looking at all there's a lot more other segments I can try to beat. Like, it's only one trail, like, I don't know why we even care about it, you know? But there's this one though, they do it as the gravel club ride up there's a road called Coring Road, and there's this, it's a pretty big hill, it's like a massive hill. So they have a segment from like the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill, and this guy, he's got it in like whatever it is, like a minute up the hill, and like other people are like 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes. And there's like, he rides pretty fast, and people take pictures of his calves, show how big they are, and say, oh yeah, look at these power plants here, like so much power, you know, like but yeah, we did that donut ride I told you about. You know, it was gonna be 40 miles, and it was chilly at 7. The ride started at 7 o'clock, and it must have been like 50 degrees. But a couple guys started at 5:30 and had already rode 20 miles before.
Yeah.
And they were just wearing t-shirts and shorts, like, man, you guys must have been freezing. Yeah, a little bit. They did like 15 miles, and they averaged like 22 miles per hour.
Gravel?
I'm not sure what they were on before the ride started. It might have been just pavement, but yeah, I guess you're not gonna stay too cold for long if you're going that fast. Yeah, there's a couple guys from Brainerd that did the dam. It was a gravel ride across Minnesota. If you ever heard of that?
No.
It was from
Gravel across, huh?
Yeah, gravel, like very remote back roads from South Dakota to Wisconsin one day. 200 one day ride, 24-hour time limit for 240 miles. And so yeah, they're on gravel. And so it's all, well, last year was the last year they did it. They had a big, there was like 500 people who started, and almost half of them finished. And so you would just get cue sheets for like 60 miles at a time, and have your own, it was all self-supported, so you'd have a driver, and they would only know where you're going for each checkpoint, so you couldn't, like, you know, take a shortcut or, you know, do anything like that. But it was all very remote roads. Like, some guys said they like ran out of water at some point and just had to be done. And then I heard there was people, they would just go and poop out in the cornfield because there's no bathrooms anywhere. So but yeah, there's this one lady from our group that did it, and I think she's 62, and she did it just a couple years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And well, I think Josh did it. He must be like 37 or 38. Probably he's, you know, younger guy. But he did it in like, his time was like 18 hours or something. And then my friend Ed did it, and he did it in like 23.5 hours. And then, so last year was the last year, so then they offered to do a route to go back too. So there was a double dam. So you just get there and then turn around and go back and do 48 hours straight. Like, whew, that's a long ride. You guys are at a like superhero level.
Well, they have Ram in the summer, which is Race Across America.
Oh yeah, yeah. I bought the YouTube movie, the Until the Wheels Fall Off, or have you seen that one?
No.
It's worth the 15 bucks for it. It's with this guy John Turtle Tab or something. I don't know. He's like not a top racer, but like barely finishing it. But
Still just a finish.
But it's like brutal. Like he only let him sleep 2 or 3 hours a day, and he did it in like 12 days, I think. And he was like so like out of it. He was listening to Harry Potter on audiobook when he stopped, and he asked for his broomstick when he went back on. Like, okay. But then I watched the video about the guy who's won it like 6 times. That guy from Austria, and he set the world record for the longest distance in 24 hours, over 1,000 kilometers. It was on a closed track, like on an army base. It was like an 8-mile loop. But it's like, man, how do you, and look at the time, and like average 25 miles per hour for 25 hours straight. Like, yeah. Like, I don't know how you do that.
Grab her from here, the rest up there.
Okay. Welcome to Nevis. It looks like a good spot too. We already had our